Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? One sec, guys. One sec. Alright, let's see. Ooh. Am I back? There we go. Hello, guys. How you doing? Yeah, last week had a lot of work and was unable to make it. I still have a lot of work, but here I am. So I'm not going to go too crazy on the stream. I'm going to try and keep it somewhat, nice, not simple, but not complicated either. I have been looking for references and I still haven't kind of selected what we should do today. So that being said, if you guys have any references or any ideas in mind, I'm open to check that out and see, if we can do that today. So I have a few references, nothing too crazy, things that I think are quite attractive in terms of in design. Yeah, just a lot of interesting. I really like this sort of style where you have this sort of truce, like a portico sort of design, where you have like one skeleton and it's kind of repeated in a way, but then playing around with one of the parameters to kind of make it vary a little bit. That's sort of the first designs I ever started with Grasshopper, so I have a certain appreciation towards that sort of design. This sort of stuff is really attractive for me. I really like this style of scripting. I think it's really interesting in doing. I'm aware that a lot of you are perhaps not so in tune with this sort of design, but you have to be a little bit open. So that said, again, if you have any references for me, I would love for you to send it in the chat, and then we can have a look through it too. If not, I'll scroll down a bit and then try and find a design that we can kind of replicate or adjust and make it, our own. This guy's really good. I love the designs this guy does. He has a lot of them. You should go check him out on Instagram. The only thing is I don't remember what his handle is right now. Is it this one? Maybe he has a website. Yes, he has an Instagram. This is the guy, Marco Corazza. Okay. So let's check it out. This design in itself is not amazing, but I have certain ideas that we can play around with. I really like how the surface isn't coplanar, it's kind of bending, and I also like the idea of having something that's a little bit modular. So I'm imagining, instead of squares, having like a circle or a sphere, and then that varies in height, and that could produce a really nice image. I'm kind of thinking ahead to the render result, because I'm just curious to see what's going to happen there. This design I love too. This sort of design is, for me, it's one of my favorites. And then instead of it being in a straight line, perhaps we can bend it. Perhaps we can have more than one floor. We can play around with this in many different ways, or perhaps I can see there's like some pillars that are not evenly spaced out. They're kind of just jotted. I think that's an interesting quality this script could have. So I'm leaning towards this a little bit, to be honest. But either way, I have opened up a few other references for us to check out. Also love this sort of design with the porticos for the same reason, I guess. Yeah, just a lot of options we can kind of test out today, which I think are really interesting. Like, this sort of design is something I love. But this is more about plotting points and then kind of generating these profiles. This is really interesting, but I think I've done something like this before. I do like the fact that it's all leaning on one on one base. I have an idea on how this can be done, and I think it could be really interesting, actually. Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so I'm going to leave this like one of the options. Yeah, this is a bit ambiguous, so I'm not sure about this one. Okay. Did you guys hear about the BIG chance, the strike manifestation? This is interesting. What do you do when you feel stuck? Do you mean design wise, or what do you mean in a script? If I get stuck on a script, I would usually double down and really fight the script until I can find a way. Go on forums. Now we have ChatGPT, so ask ChatGPT what they would do. And then rather than a copy and paste dynamic, I try to find out what's the reasoning behind ChatGPT's thing and then kind of try it that way. There have been times where the script has been extremely difficult and I've just said, okay, I'm going to stop for tonight, try again tomorrow or whenever I have a moment. And in that attempt, I'm going to do it from zero, because I feel like if I tried to go back to what I was doing, perhaps there were certain steps that really didn't fit properly. So I just, try and break it down again and then repeat it from zero. Yeah, but most of the times I beat the crap out of it until I get it. And then I could be there for like 10 hours straight if needed. Design wise, if I get stuck because I don't feel like I have any like ideas, it's probably more a question of scrolling. I tend to spend about half an hour a day just looking at references, going on sites or pages that I like or frequent, and then I just check out what's kind of updated and see whatever interests me. The only issue is that this week, for example, I've been quite loaded on work, so I haven't had much time to do it. So that's why I'm kind of not panicking, but trying to search for good references. Lately, I've been obsessed with like church settings and auditoriums, this sort of thing. But this is more of an architectural aspect. It doesn't necessarily always have to be parametric. It might be a thing about modeling in 3D. I love modeling in Rhino, even without the parametric stuff. So if you get stuck design-wise, it's good to be able to do a lot of different types of design. So whether that be modeling Rhino or modeling in Grasshopper, I tend to do like 1 week intense Grasshopper scripting where I come up with like 10 scripts, and then the next week I'll just be modeling in Rhino a house, a building, a library, nothing to do with Grasshopper. Or if I have, if I'm burnt out with architecture in general, I would just jump into music or some other things I do. I studied music until my early 20s, and then I got fully hooked on architecture. So my first passion and my first love is music. I did a lot of studies on music, like a lot of them, and architecture came along afterwards. So if I burn out in one creative field, I'll just jump into another creative field and obsess in that. So it's good to have a lot of different options you can jump to when you feel burnt out in one area. So it's definitely worth branching out. If you like painting, do painting. If you like doing clay models, or if you like sports, if you like gaming or whatever, just make sure you have a space to go to when you burn out in one area, because it is going to happen. Hola, ¿cómo estás, amigo? This is another reference I saw earlier, which I found really interesting. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, this doesn't seem crazy in design, but then you think about it and you're like, okay, the first one is like 1 peak, the second one are 2 peaks, then 3, then 2, then 1, and I'm imagining this like a graph mapper where, depending on the value between 0 and 1, you can remap it to a number where it goes between 0 and 10, and then whatever that number is, I can assign it to each curve, and then I can subdivide the curve into parts, and then create this effect using a graph mapper. So I saw this and I was like, okay, this is the way I would do it. So this is interesting. It's just interesting. I don't know, do you guys feel like this could be an interesting design? Should we tackle it? So I'm gonna propose a couple of things we can do today, perhaps out of 3. Where's the one I had earlier? Oh no, I think I might have closed it. Let me see if I still have it open somewhere. Nope. here it is. Okay, I'm gonna focus on these 3 designs, and I'll ask you guys to kind of help me out with the selection, whatever you guys prefer. So let's say this is option 1. Option 1 is this thing here. Option 2 is this sort of surface and pillars, and this is option 3. So again, option 1, option 2, option 3. What do you think? I'd love to get your input here. Again, 1, 2, or 3. What do you think? Número 3, this one. Okay, so that's 1 vote for 3. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Damn, I was thinking like, is it gonna work? I think it will work, but the thing I like about this is this dangle effect, which I think is really interesting. 3. Alright, let's do 3 then. You've convinced me. Easy convincing. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. Okay, I need my reference here. Oh god. Okay, so we have, it's essentially a series of porticos, and I'm subdividing each portico into x amount. So we need to create this portico. So I'm going to start off with SDL. I'm going to create a series of lines. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Construct point, because the SDL builds a curve using a starting point, a direction, and a length. So my starting point is going to be this construct point, and I'm just going to say series, because we need multiple values. Panel, like so. I'm going to connect to panel. And the distance between each portico is going to be between 0 and 10 with 2 decimal places. And I'm going to say the distance of the separation is going to be 2 units. My starting value is going to be 0 because I want it to start at 0. Remember, we're going to be connecting this to construct point. And the count is going to be between 0 and 100. I'm going to go for 100. It might be a little bit big, but okay. This is going to be in the x-axis. So you're going to see a lot of different points. And here we're going to indicate the direction of y, because if these points are going in the x-axis, we want the other curve to be perpendicular to that. And the length is something we're going to define. So I'm going to say between 0 and 100, something like this. So we've just produced sort of like a series of curves. Yeah. So let me just change the name of this. I'm going to call this length of portico. Cool, that's going to be my left portico. This is going to be distance between porticos. What's this? Yeah, number of porticos. Okay, let's put that over here. Like so. I'm going to bring this down here. I'm going to do something that I don't usually do. I might, halfway through the script, I might say, no, I'm not going to continue doing this just because I get too involved in the script. But for now, I'm going to see if I can put all of the number sliders here at the beginning. Okay. Save file. Yes. Okay, so we have these porticos. Now, I want it to be slightly elevated. So that means my Z is going to be a little bit higher, between 0 and 20. Let's connect that there. This is going to be portico height. Starting height. Okay. English. There we go. Alright. Are there any Spanish people, Spanish speaking people here? Just out of curiosity. Okay. I'm going to move this over here. Okay, so we have this elevated now. And 100 is way too much, actually. I'm going to reduce the number of porticos. I'm going to center my view here. And I'm going to say, okay, I need to divide this using a graph. So the logic here is I'm going to create the graph first. The number of divisions in this graph is going to be the same as the number of curves I have. So the number of curves that I have is defined by this value here, number of porticos, and then I'll have to remove 1 because Grasshopper produces an extra point, x minus 1. Okay, so this is my range. This is going to be a graph type. I'm going to say sine. And then this is going to give me a value which I'm going to remap. So I'm going to connect a panel to visualize what on earth is happening here. So these numbers produced in the graph mapper go between 0 and 1. You can see 0 and 1 in the x and y direction. And all these values go between 0 and 1. I don't want that. I want the numbers to go between 0 and 10, let's say. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinterpret this list of I plan to learn Spanish. Learn it, man. There's a lot of words or phrases that don't translate well into other languages, and Spanish has quite a few of them that are worth learning. Oh, wrong one. Construct domain. Let's try again. This one here, and we're going to say between 0 and 10, but I need minimum to be at least 1 division. Copy paste. This is going to be 10, or perhaps, yeah, I think so, 10. That's going to be fine. Let's move this over here. I'm going to move this over here. So what we're going to find here is that we have a series of numbers, and instead of it going between 0 and 1, it's going to go between 0 and 10. So you're going to see that my smallest number is 1. Sorry, between 1 and 6. So my smallest number is 1, my biggest number is 6. So we've now redesigned the domain. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to round this number to the nearest. And there we go. So you're going to see a lot of 1 values, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, you know, whatever. And this number is going to be used to divide these curves here. So I'm going to say divide curve. And we want it to divide by these values here. So you're going to see that the graph is currently going up, meaning that at the beginning it's going to only divide by 1. Then it's then going to divide by 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, you know, so on and so forth. If we were to use kind of a wave, you're going to see it's going to get more divisions in the middle, and then as it goes towards the end, it's going to be less divisions. So that's sort of the logic we're going for there. Now, I am going to add another graph to it, but before I do that, we need to slice these curves using those points. So I'm just going to do this just because it's a little bit easier to see where everything is connected. Let's do that there. Okay, let me try and be a little bit neat. Bang, bang. And I'm going to use shatter. Shatter this curve with these points. And I'm going to just check that it's working by baking and seeing if it's doing any duplicates. You can see here it's duplicating. So I'm doing it wrong. That means here I have to graft. That's most likely the case. So again, I'm going to bake to check if it's working or not. And you know, if it's not, we'll see what we have to do then. So that's 1, 1, and then over here it's probably going to be 2. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's a test we always should do. And then we have that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract the endpoints. We're going to need those. I'm also going to extract the middle point. And I'm going to say... we're going to move this point, in the Z direction negatively, so downwards, by a value that goes between 0 and 10 with 2 decimal places, I guess. We can just do this. Bang, bang, bada bing, bang, bang. This one goes here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to interpolate these 3 points, but I need to merge them first. I need to connect them in order. So it's going to be the starting point, then the middle point. That's the wrong component. Let me try that again. Merge this one. The starting point, then the middle, then the last point, and then we can interpolate that. And something's happened here. What's happening in the middle? Ooh, that's interesting. I think I need to graft these. I need to graft and simplify. That's what I think I need to do here. Graft, simplify. Ooh, God. Let's try that again. Graft, graft, simplify. Turn this on. There we go. Then if I turn all of this off, there we go. We have that effect. Okay, it's definitely working. Now, the issue is, I want to add another graph mapper. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. That's interesting. Okay, so I want a graph mapper that moves my points from before. These points, right? I need these points which we've moved. This is the middle point, right? Then we've pushed this middle point down using this number. Well, I want this value to be in relation to a graph mapper. Okay? So I'm going to I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to disconnect this here. I can leave this connected for now. I am going to disable it so that I can work a little bit more freely. I'm going to make some space. These are my curves. And what I'm going to do... How do I do this? Yeah, this is interesting. How do I approach this? How do I approach this? Okay, let me see the branch, because the branch is going to be important here. Okay, it's maintaining the... Oh, that's good. Okay. What happens if I simplify? Does it still maintain the groups? Yes, it does. Okay, that's really good. That's good. Okay, so that means I can still work in relation to the curves at the beginning. Because I'm guessing this sort of maintains the same relationship, which each one is its own sort of thing. I'm going to simplify this as well. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that this graph, I can create another graph. And what can I do? Yeah, I can essentially just copy this, and this remap goes between two values similar to what we did before. I'm just going to add more decimals, and then this value is what I'm going to use to move those points. I'm guessing the structure is I'm going to have to simplify and I'm also going to have to graft. Okay. And then hopefully I have to move this down. Let me see if I can readjust this again. Enable. Where this is going here. It's going to go upwards for now, but that's fine. And then this is going to be... yes. That's good. That's very good. Okay, and then I can turn this back on. Now you're going to see it's going upwards. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to introduce a negative. Oh. Minimum and maximum. So you're going to see that some of them go down and some of them go up. And the ones that go up very little. And I'm thinking that I should probably invert this. So this one's going to go here. I'm going to copy and paste this one on top. And this is the one that goes positive. Something like that. Now this value is very big, so I'm going to reduce it a little bit. And voila, we have ourselves this bad boy. Now we can exaggerate this. Nah, I think we're going to leave it as it was. And instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the line longer. And I'm also going to modify this one because I think it's interesting to do. I don't know. Bang. This one goes here. Yeah, okay. I just need to change the remap numbers. my minimum is going to be 3 and my maximum is going to be a little bit bigger because I want more waves, and I should probably exaggerate the waves a little bit, something like that. Okay, in the reference, I don't remember, they have these lines. So what does that mean for us? Actually, first of all, what I want to do is I want to see what it looks like when it's lofted. This is just curiosity. Ooh, shoot, I shouldn't have done that. Now it's going to loft everything. Ah, diablos. Okay, what I need to do before I do anything is I need to join curves because currently they are not connected. I'm going to flatten, and then here I can now use the loft. And before I do, I'm going to save because that's always a recommendation I don't do. And we have something like this. Oh, that's interesting. Not a huge fan of it, to be honest. Okay, so this thing, I actually want to invert it. I don't know. Okay. Here maybe it's too high. 10 is too high. And then here, it's interesting. Like we're starting to get some interesting dynamics. I like it being lengthier, and therefore this has to be a little bit more exaggerated. So here it's going from negative to positive. So think about it like McDonald's. The M, and then on this side you get the U. That's interesting. That's an interesting feat. Okay, so we have that. Okay, so what can we do with this? Like in the reference, it's just like glass. I'm not too much. I don't know. I'm not sure if I like it too much, to be honest. I'm not sure. So my idea here is to move it, do a Boolean difference. The only thing is I'm not sure if it's going to work. I have my doubts, but you know, it's worth trying. So I'm going to move all these curves on the x-axis, and I'm going to move it according to that separation we have already. So that's going to be 2 because that's the difference between porticos, and then we have 1 and 2. So there's some sort of overlap, right? That's sort of the idea. And then I'm not sure if you can do region union between these two curves. I am going to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, that's fine, understandable, because we're asking quite a bit from it, but you never know, it's worth a try. So I'm going to graft, and I'm going to graft, and I'm going to flatten. Sorry, I'm going to simplify rather. Bang. No. Okay, so that doesn't work. Region union doesn't work, so I'm going to try boundary surface between these edges, and I'm going to graft. Oh, graft. No, it doesn't seem to work. Maybe flatten. That doesn't work either. Okay, I could probably try a loft. I can already guess it's not going to do it perfectly. Ah, no. I'm doing something slightly wrong. Although this is very interesting. This is very interesting. But that's not what I'm looking for. I am looking for... I think I may have to shift list by 1 before I do anything. And then here I should probably try again. Boundary surface. No. Region union. No. Now what I do want to do is test out if I'm doing this right. So list item to select the first one. First one to see if I'm doing the first one here. So this is my first curve. This is my you see I'm going in the wrong direction. That's why it's not working. So that means I need a panel -1. There we go. Okay. Some of them, yeah, this is what I was looking for. Some of them won't have it, which is absolutely fine. Yeah, okay, that's good. This turn off, and the thing we did before is something we may need. Loft. Bang. So I'm basically just closing off all of the surfaces. I'm getting this negative. Let me bake this. I just want to see what it looks like. Shaded. There we go. So I got all those pieces. Okay, let me try that again. I think it just disconnected. So if I were to exaggerate these pieces a lot more, the first one is how much I'm dividing. This is the displacement. So if I were to create a bigger displacement value, so instead of -10, if I were to say -20, and if here I were to say -20, evidently you're going to get those bigger values. But that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. So I don't like this idea of creating those panels, although, you know, we can do it. We have it. We have those intermediate pieces you see here. You know, we have it just like the reference. But I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. So, I mean, this is interesting. It's worth keeping, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this underneath. I'm going to leave it there like an option, and here I'm just going to work in another direction. So I have these pieces. I don't want to work with this, and what I'm thinking of doing is, okay, we have it joined. I don't need this move. This is for the other thing. Okay, we have these porticos that they're all united, and I guess we can, what can we do here? Offset curve. To give it a thickness, I'm going to say 0.3. Is it offsetting on the plane that I want it to offset? Yes, it is. That's good to hear. And then here, I'm just going to loft these two together. Merge. Merge. Merge, merge. Graft. I'm just going to graft and simplify just to make sure. I'm going to loft. We have those surfaces now, like so. That's really small, so I'm going to say 0.6. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude in the x-axis. This obviously can't be bigger than 2, because otherwise it's just going to overlap. So I'm going to say 1.5. And we have this effect here. Now, I'm not sure what the approach is here. Do we reinterpret this as a portico? What should we do? That's interesting. I think it changed the direction of the offset. I think so. I think it changed the opposite direction. Oh, that's a bit of a nuisance, but oh, there we go. Okay, that works. Okay, XZ, XZ. No, it's not XZ. It's YZ. I've used the wrong plane. There we go. There we go. That makes much more sense. I'm going to turn this off. Okay, so we have this. Okay, what can we do with this? I mean, we could create the portico. I'm just thinking of a simple geometry. We should probably do something with these vertices where they meet into a point, or I don't know. Or we could just bring it down wherever the vertices are. So that could also be an interesting effect. So here in the moved point, No, not moved point, the endpoints. Those are the points I'm interested in. I'm just going to merge these two together. Okay, like so, flatten. Okay, and then project. Project onto XY. Then I'm just going to merge these two together. No, sorry. Line. Where I have the top point, the projected point, and I have those pillars. Like so. Okay, and then I'm going to give this a thickness. Okay, that seems to be quite thick. So I'm going to reduce the thickness a little bit. I'm going to say 0.2. Radius, not caps. Caps is going to be a value of 1. Okay. Bring that over there. And we have this. Yeah, there we go. The other alternative would have been to, instead of using interpolate, we could have used a polyline. Introduce beams. What were you thinking? This is the triangle version. The only thing is I'm not sure which one I enjoy more. I think the interpolate looks a little bit nicer. I like the droop effect. Where would you introduce the beams? Oh man, I'm going to change the color. Custom preview. Swatch. What's your idea, my guy? What do you have in mind? I want to see what this looks like. I'm just going to create layers so that I can select them individually. This is going to go into layer 1. This one's going to go to layer 2. Oh, I need to fix this. Introduce the columns. But these are columns, or do you mean beams? Oh right, sorry, I was reading it wrong. The thing is, I have my chat on the other side of my screen, so I have to kind of like focus. Yeah. You were thinking exactly what I was thinking. Not having so many points is what you're getting at. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because it is quite dense. So what we can do is we essentially have all these curves, right? We can do a random split list where I have a master list, right? And then I can say a percentage that goes between 0 and 1. So let's say if I want 15% of the selection of curves, I can just go ahead and select that. So that could just be that. So let's give that a shot. We'll see what that looks like. And I think you're going to be quite right. I think it's going to be quite a nice feature. And then I'm going to bring this down. Okay, there we go. So so this one's selecting that percentage there. So 15% is way too little. 40%, and then we can even go a little bit higher. 20% is this. Something like that, I guess. What could also be interesting is whatever points are kind of left out of the sequence, like these ones, right? If I were to leave these ones out, would it be interesting to connect this to the closest curve next to walls? Yeah, let's do some walls. I think you're right there too. I just want to try out this idea. I'm not sure if it's going to work. So yeah, again, my idea is that wherever it's not connected, I want it to find the closest point to a beam, to a column. So the logic there would be what? To, instead of doing it this way, I would have to use a random split list beforehand. One thing I didn't think about is that here I'm going to have duplicate points. So let me clean this up a little bit. Remove duplicate points. I don't like this component. Remove duplicate points, which is this one. It's already flattened, so I don't need to worry about that too much. This is going to go through my random split list, and then this one's going to go there. So that's in the sequence I'm looking for. And then whatever points are left out of the equation, which are these ones here, I'm going to search for the closest point. Is that the one? To a cloud. No, that's not quite. Curve closest point. There we go. So the point to the closest curve. So I'm going to flatten this. I'm going to graft this. So what does that mean? Let me turn this off. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then that's going to be line. I mean, it's going to be perpendicular, isn't it? So perhaps the idea is to do this. Oh, no, that's not right. Graft. Graft. Simplify. Yeah, something happening here. If I don't flatten, it's connecting everything to everything, and that's not what I'm looking for. Graft. No. What on earth? Why is it not working? Flatten. Logically, it should be graft and flatten, but it's not doing it correctly. Point, closest curve. Perhaps I can do it this way. Points. Okay, so I have these points. I'm just going to do it with everything. Flatten. Flatten. I don't know what the approach is here. I want to produce all of the options. So I would have to graft and graft. Yes. Here it would be. No, that's not good. That's not a good way to approach it either. Closest point. And I think this would work. I'm just not a fan of how it works, so I might just scrap this. I mean, now it's doing it well. It's creating... Ooh, you know what might be interesting? The only issue is that it's doing this, isn't it? You would have to move the points down. That's the only issue I'm having with it. Yeah, so I'm thinking is move Z negative This goes here. closest point, and then this goes down. Does that make sense? So essentially the percentage, the higher the percentage, the less that happens, and the lower the percentage, the more you have it. And that way you get this. Now curve closest point, we would also have to do the other one. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, the only the thing I would do is create two different types of pipes where one is slightly smaller than the other. So I would do this, copy paste. Let me move this up here. This one is going to go to the line. This one's going to be a little bit thicker. Turn this off, connect that there. This one's going to be 0.05. I'm going to turn this off. And the cool thing is, right, if I make this bigger, we can get this sort of thing. The only thing is I don't like this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is a good idea. Again, this is very typical when working with scripts, but you keep them all because you never know where it's going to be useful. So I'm going to follow your recommendation here. I am going to keep it more simple, and I'm just going to add the walls. Master list. This is the offset. Unique points. Okay. Project. Project. We said list B. Line. This would be the line. Second line. Pipe. Oh, we deleted the pipe. Bloody hell. I'm just going to copy and paste this. See, that's why you don't delete it always. Okay, we're back. Okay, so let's keep these pipes, and then we're going to do a boundary. What's this called? Bounding rectangle. That's the one I'm looking for. I'm going to flatten, and it's going to give me all this box. And then I'm going to project this box. Actually, no, I could probably do this at the beginning. So I'm going to do this with the curves from the beginning. This one. Oh, it's going to do it at the top. Okay, so it's irrelevant where I do it. Okay, so what can I do? This X, Y. It doesn't project it onto the floor. That's annoying. Fine, whatever. Project. I'm going to project normal here. Bang. Turn this off. We have this. And then I'm going to use this to create some sort of wall. What were you thinking for the wall? What's your idea? Like the one I like to use a lot is the space truce component, which I think is really, it's one of my favorites, just because, you know, the results are so good. So I would suggest creating all like this. And yeah, then bring this up. I don't know if it makes more sense to do the contour of this. And then let's try this one first. Okay, so I'm going to deconstruct brep. And then I'm going to use truce 1. Take this off. Divisions. I mean, I should do it by dimension. By length. I'm going to measure the length of each edge. Division 0 and 10 or 100. Yeah, 0 and 10 with 2 decimal places. I'm going to say every 4 units, and that's going to be my U. I need to see which one's which. No, that's the height. Okay, so this is the height. The height should be more divisions. This is going to be the one I'm looking for. This one here. There we go. Now this one's divided every 4 units. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so there you go, 0.3. And I'm gonna is this working properly? I don't think it is. Oh amigo. This is V. Yeah, I think I'm doing this wrong. U. No, that's divisions in height. Okay, so no, I was correct before. It's just something's happening here. And I'm not certain why. Why is that happening? Faces, edges. Ah. Amigo. Okay, I think I know what's happening. Oh, bloody hell. Okay, so deconstruct and prep. No, this is edges length. I think the issue is that this has to go to extrude project. What's the issue? That's the question. The issue is that I need to explode the projection, and then this has to go here. I think that's the issue here. And then now this one is the wrong one. Nope. There we go. Okay, I was thinking about it the wrong way. Okay, this is still the height. U divisions is the height, meaning that it's going to be this value here, because this defines the height. Okay, so this defines the height every 4 meters, and then I can reduce this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I want this to be every meter. I want this one to be every 2 meters. No, 1 meter is too big. And then now the truce depth, I want it to go outwards, and I want it to go out between 0 and 10. So something like this. And then do that. Bit too much, but voila. Now perhaps it doesn't need to go that high. Merge the curves. Let's merge the curves together like so, flatten, and then multi-pipe. That's going to take a second to load. That's too big. Let's go for 0.05. There we go. Let it load. Oh, it's lagging like crazy. Okay, let's let. Oh my god, we have to wait for that to load. Let's wait for it to load. Okay. And then I'm going to start baking. Okay, so here we have this, blah, blah, blah. This one. Okay, so this is one of my results I need. This is going to be baked into layer 1. Layer 2, no, this is going to be layer 3. My pillars, where are my pillars? My pillars are here. 2. And voila. I'm not sure about this, to be honest. I'm a bit more of a purist. Head of Watchdog? Heard of Watchdog. Sorry, the chat's a bit off. No, I haven't. What's that? Could it be you sent me this on Instagram? It sounds familiar. Is it this one? Watchdog is a lightweight utility plugin for Grasshopper that acts as a fuse for your computer and calculation. Oh, yeah. So it basically cuts it off when it's about to explode, I guess. I need it. I'm going to install it. I'm guessing it's that, right? Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. Does it make sense structurally? Well, you would have to check. You would have to check these if the distances are too big. But I'm guessing you could justify it. I think so. I think so. It would just be an issue of you would essentially calculate, okay, which one is my biggest distance, right? This one here, and then you'd need at least those to be supported. Have you guys seen what's it called? Serpentine. Is it Serpentine Pavilion? But that's the actual name of it. Serpentine Pavilion. Who's it? Toyoida? Is it Toyoida? No, it's not. I don't think it is. Oh, it's Junjen Shigami. That's the guy. This badass MF. I'm gonna quickly. So, his pavilion has lots of pillars kind of distributed, and it has these arcs. And then with Galapagos, you can just play like here. I guess if you were to build this or to make sure this is structurally sound, I would run it through Galapagos. Yeah, I would run it through Galapagos, and then connect the seed value to Galapagos, the seed of the random pillar generator, so that your goal is to have a minimum distance between all of the pillars, right? And that way you would ensure it. So that, I guess that would be the next step. I'm not going to do it just because it's a bit time consuming, but yeah, it's definitely doable. So there's no question about it. And then here, I think I want a little bit more pillars. I want 50%. I mean, I don't mind having 100% pillars, but you know, I guess it does add that sort of extra layer. And yeah, essentially this is the script. What do you guys think? It's interesting. I'm sure the render is going to look nice. I like the idea how it goes low and then it goes top. I really like that feel. The other one I was thinking, right, is let me just turn this off because it's going to be computational power. Turn this off too. I'm going to play around with yeah, this one here. I'm going to turn this off. And I want this turned off too. I just want to see these curves. Okay. I want to play around with this. Where I'm going to copy and paste just to make sure. Where I have this go a bit more crazy. And then here, I'm going to remove the points because it's a bit difficult to see. Yeah, this is what I'm interested in seeing. And then reduce the number. Make this one. No. There we go. this controls the depth. There, and then I'm going to raise the height. I want this to be really low. Okay. And I can now turn this on. Let it load. There we go. That's the feel I was looking for. Okay. And then I'm going to create a new one. 002. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, this is going to be an issue. Where are you? Here. This is essentially a brep. So I'm going to connect a brep here to reference this at the end. Okay, that goes towards the end. I also need the pillars, which are these pipes. So I'm going to drag this towards the end too. Like so. And I think that's it, right? Layer 1. Pipes, I'm not too interested in this right now. Bake layer 2. There you go. And I think this is a little bit more interesting. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, you could always do, there's little things you can do to make this a lot more interesting. Like one has just occurred to me. Yeah, go for it. Feel free to. There's one thing I want to try out, which I think is going to be a positive. I'm not too convinced about this wall thing. To be quite frank, I'm just gonna remove it. It hasn't convinced me enough. So I'm going to delete this. And it's going to clean up the script a little bit. And there is one thing I want to try, which is very simple to do, is here in line SDL. I'm going to do this. And this is going to be between 0 and 1. But this is going to be minimum 0.1 and maximum 1. And I'm going to scale my initial curves, which are these ones here. I'm going to scale it from its center, like so. And this is going to, oh no, that's too much. This is going to be my factor. And then this is going to be what's modified. Now this should be very interesting. And I think I should have probably provided it the other way around. Okay, let's try. Okay, yeah, I suspected as much. So I should probably think about this. Like this is the number of divisions, this is the exaggeration. I'm going to do that. Let's see if that helps. There we go. And then perhaps we don't want this form. I'm going to delete that for now. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see the pipes either. I want to see that. I want to work with this. Okay, so I have... I'm not sure if you are catching the gist of the idea. See what I mean? Yeah, I guess this is what I was pointing at. And turn this on. And this is going to be... I need to create a new one, don't I? Okay, let's try again. 3, 1, 2, 3. Layer 1. layer 2, layer 2, and then voila. So again, there's so many different things you can do. Perhaps in this instance, it wouldn't be wise to do so many subdivisions. So perhaps your maximum, instead of being 7, I think I had it at, I could say 4. And you have a much more controlled environment. Don't know, this is sort of a preference sort of thing. Bake, this is layer 2. Yeah, I guess this is the idea. Cool. I mean, the other, like this, there's just so many different things you can do, where instead of it being straight, you can make it go round in a circle. There's so many different things you can do, I guess. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave it here for today. Thank you so much for joining, those who have joined. And what I'm going to do as a thank you, I'm going to upload this onto a WeTransfer. So stay in the chat. I'm going to send the WeTransfer now. So let me just quickly grab my script. Give me a sec. I'm just going to drag this into. Okay, one sec. I didn't do it. Let me try again. Okay, so it's uploading. Copy link. There you are. There you have it. So you play around with it, do whatever you want with it. If you do play around with it and get to something you want to share, tag me in a story or something. I love to share you guys working on stuff, so please do that if you're going to be working on it, and send it my way, because I am interested in seeing the result. I think it's going to be interesting. So yeah, anyway guys, hopefully that was somewhat interesting, and I guess I'll see you all on the next one. Feel free to reach out whenever you guys want via Instagram. Just a DM. I'm super open to help out or talk about pretty much anything, so that'd be cool. And yeah, man, thank you for joining. If there are no questions, I will drop out. Gracias, tío. Alright guys, I guess I'll see you all on the next one. Alright guys, bye guys, bye.